bell chant, which you can follow along on page 3. After we finish chanting, we will be observing noble silence until after service. Vowing that the sound of this bell pervades the universal Dharma realm, bringing luminous white light to the black iron perimeter of hell, removing in an instant the suffering caused by the 3 evil ways. A mountain of swords is destroyed, and all sentient beings enter enlightenment together. Homage to the Master Teacher, Vairocana Buddha, compassionate Lord of the Lotus-born universe, expounding the treasured verses of the sacred golden texts contained within precious cases written on jade scrolls. Each dust mote interpenetrates and the universe becomes one. Every realm is united with all other worlds. The truth is contained in the 1,095,048 words of the utmost vehicle's consummate teaching. Homage to the Avatamsaka Sutra expounded by the Buddha. To understand the Buddhas of endless time, just penetrate this phrase: everything is created by mind alone. The mantra of shattering hell: Namu Atashijinam Samyak Samotashijinam Om Jababa Jiri Jiri Hum. Namu Atashijinam Samyak Samota Jichinam Om Ajababa Jiri Jiri Hum. Namo Atashijinam Samyak Samota Jichinam Om Jaba Jaba Jirinam. Vowing now for the rest of my life not to give rise to extraneous thoughts, following only Amitabha Buddha. Thought after thought will constantly merge with the rays of his jade-like brilliance, each instant never leaving the qualities of his golden form. Holding a mala and bearing witness to the universal Dharma realm, empty space is but a thread, leaving nothing unconnected. There is nowhere that Vairocana Buddha is not present equally. Through contemplation, seek Amitabha of the Western Shore. Homage to the great teaching master, Lord of the Western Shore, the Buddha, the Tathagata of infinite light. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. The land of ultimate bliss has 10 kinds of adornment. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. It is adorned with Dharmakara's vow, his cultivation cause. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Adorned with the power of Amitabha's 48 vows. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. adorned with Amitabha's name and the brilliance of his life force. Homage to Amitabha Buddha, adorned with the bejeweled images observed by the three Mahasattvas. Homage to Amitabha Buddha, adorned with the peaceful bliss of Amitabha's Western world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha, adorned with the bejeweled rivers running with pure and meritorious waters. Homage to Amitabha Buddha, adorned with bejeweled basilicas with halls of wish-fulfilling jewels. Homage to Amitabha Buddha, adorned with lengthy days and nights. Homage to Amitabha Buddha, adorned with the Pure Land's 24 kinds of pleasures. Homage to Amitabha Buddha, adorned with the 30 kinds of beneficial merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, who is unparalleled in heaven or on earth. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He is also unmatched throughout the worlds of the 10 directions. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He has seen the annihilation of self and everything in the world. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. There is no one who is like Amitabha Buddha. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can keep track of thoughts as numerous as all the dust motes in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can quaff all the waters in the universe. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. He can control the wind that fills space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. No one can completely describe that Buddha's merits. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha Buddha is omnipresent. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Keep your thoughts on him and never forget. As thoughts probe that place of no thought, the 6 sense gates will constantly emanate light of purple and gold. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Amitabha's face, like the full moon, is at the front of the hall of ultimate bliss. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. His jade excrescence and his gold form radiate throughout space. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. If a person call his name for only a moment, they will instantly consummate immeasurable merit. Homage to Amitabha Buddha. Along with all sentient beings, I vow together to enter the sea of Amitabha's great vows, and to ferry across sentient beings, so that I and others may simultaneously complete the path of Buddhahood. The sublime mantra of the original mind of Amitabha Buddha. Tanyata Om Aritara Savaha 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 Tanyata Om
At this time, I would like to invite our incense lighters to come forward, please. Inside the cover of your chant book is the incense offering gatha. I invite you to recite that along with me. In gratitude, we offer this incense throughout space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Good morning. So my name is Kunga Nyima. I'm one of the teachers here at the temple. It's wonderful to see so many people here today. To start off, I'd like to invite us all to stand and greet each other silently with bows. And if you could please turn to page 7 in your chant book, we're going to chant the 3 refuge vows together. Please turn to page 8. We'll chant the Heart Sutra together, beginning with the title.
They are not defined.
extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant peerless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, Aragate, Arasamgate, Bodhisvaha. Dhamma, Prajna, Paramita, Hridaya, Sutra.
A few courtesy announcements before we get started. We have restrooms behind that wall there and also downstairs. If you need to get up during the service for any reason, please walk along the back. Stairs are right to the left there to go downstairs if you need to. If you have small children, there's also some toys and things down there. If you get restless and you want to do something else, we have that space down there too, and for adults as well. There are water fountains. There's a water pitcher, I believe, behind the curtains there, and also downstairs. The water fountain right now is still being investigated whether or not we can use it again. Good morning again. My name is Kunga Nyima, and I'm one of the teachers here. Happy Earth Day. I think it's Earth Day tomorrow, so I wanted to give a talk today that was related to Earth Day. Before I start my talk, I just want to express some gratitude to some of the people who help out with the service today. We had volunteers come in this morning and put out chant books for you all to help straighten things up. We had volunteers to do the incense lighting, to greet when they come in the door. And we are always looking for volunteers. So if you're interested in being more active in the Sangha, please come to see me or Shin-Kyu after service, or Joeksen-su, also Yupaya, about if you have any questions, because we can help you with that. But we're always looking for more support. Thank you. Thank you to Venerable Amko for attending today. Amko was my first teacher at the temple, and he was abbot of the temple when I first started coming here, so it's wonderful to see you here today. Thank you to our tech team who's making our whole service available on YouTube, so anytime you want to see a past service or you can't attend, it's always available to you. I mean, it's really wonderful to be able to do that. I want to say I really miss being here, able to participate in service virtually last weekend. I went away on a retreat to, it was a Thich Nhat Hanh retreat on Saturday, and I went to a insight meditation service on Sunday. But I really missed, the traditions that we have here. Like at neither one of those places was there any kind of Buddhist chanting. So I think that we have something special here. So I really want to thank you all for being here to help participate in that. So my talk today is called Learning from the Earth. When I was thinking about doing a talk for Earth Day, I started to think about how many different references to the earth and nature are in the different Buddhist teachings. And so I thought it would be interesting to share some of those stories which have been inspirational to me. I'm going to share one about the Buddha as a very young child, going to watch his father plow in the fields. I'm going to share the story of the Buddha's enlightenment, where he famously touches the earth as a witness to his enlightenment. I want to share the story of a teaching that Buddha gave to his son, Rahula, which related to the elements of the earth and how you might use those elements to overcome the three poisons of craving or lust, hatred and aversion, and ignorance. And then lastly, right before our meditation, I want to share some teachings from the Foreground of Mindfulness, in which the Buddha uses some earth or nature similes to kind of help us to recognize joy and happiness through our meditation practice. And that's something we probably don't talk about enough. So my first example has to do with the Buddha as a young child, Siddhartha. The story goes that the Buddha was taken to the fields to watch his father, the king, plow the first furrows in the fields. And it was a hot day, so they placed the Buddha, or Siddhartha, we'll call him, under a tree to watch. And as Siddhartha was watching, he noticed that the sharp edge of the plow, as it carved through the earth, was causing a lot of harm to the small animals that lived into the earth. So insects were being cut in half and crushed. Other animals were being pushed out of the way as the plow cut through the earth. And spontaneously, he started to feel empathy and compassion for all those animals. And the story goes that because of these feelings of empathy and compassion, he was able to enter meditative absorption at a very young age, just by observing the suffering that was going on there. So this is a good lead-in to talk about the 3 marks of existence. So in Buddhism, we have lots of lists to help us remember different points. And the 3 marks of existence are suffering, impermanence, and no self. So suffering we can think of as just, it's also called dis-ease, or sometimes it's just called stress. But just that part of living that we encounter in which we have difficulties, And suffering doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing. When they talk about different stressors, they talk about the stress of starting a new job. So that can be like a positive thing, but it still causes a kind of stress with you. Maybe it's voluntary stress. Impermanence is this idea that nothing lasts forever. Everything is changing. And then no self is a little bit more complicated. It's this idea that none of us exist as a permanent, unconnected, unchanging, separate self. And I'll talk about each of these things a little bit more as I go on to the different stories. Okay. So with this first story, Siddhartha observes the suffering of the animals, the insects that are disturbed by the plow, the ones that are killed and injured by the plow. So he observes that physically, but also psychologically, he has suffering because he empathizes with them. And then the impermanence, he observes the impermanence of life. These animals are killed, and this is all in preparation for sowing new life. And then this last one, no self, he sort of, at a very basic levels, realizes there is a connection between him and those animals. He empathizes and feels comfort, feels compassion for them. So there's this connection. And we can also think about the connection of we're plowing the earth, we're creating a place to plant seeds so that we can grow food that we're going to eat in order to stay alive. So this whole process is all kind of interconnected with us, So I'll talk a little bit more about no self in the next story. We're going to jump ahead a bunch of years. Siddhartha has grown up to an adult. He's got married, he's had a child, and he's left his whole family to go pursue the spiritual path. Sometimes we might say that's not a very Buddhist thing to do, but he wasn't a Buddha yet. So he left his family to follow his path. He practiced for 6 years in the story, and he practiced this very severe asceticism, starving himself, exposing himself to the elements, trying to break down his ties to the body. The belief was if you could overcome, these feelings of attachment to our body, then you could be free. After 6 years of practicing this, the Buddha realized this wasn't going to work. He practically was dying, and he felt like there must be another way. And some of the stories say that it's his memory of this early meditative experience that he had under the tree watching the plowing, that was, he entered meditation that way, so maybe he didn't have to suffer in order to utilize meditation and absorption. So he leaves his friends who he's been practicing with. He renews himself, and he decides that he's going to sit under the Bodhi tree, makes a little grass cushion for himself. He's going to sit on there until he becomes enlightenment, right? So during his long night of meditation, he undergoes a variety of psychological trials, seeking to overcome the 3 afflictions. Okay, so this is my other list. I'm only going to talk about 2 lists here today. The 3 marks of existence, and the other one are the 3 poisons or 3 afflictions. Okay. So the 3 poisons are hatred or aversion, lust, craving, or also called desire, and ignorance. Okay. So when the Buddha is sitting under the tree, meditating, I think we could say that one of the main things that he's struggling with is overcoming these 3 poisons. And in the story itself, they kind of translate this into this cosmic battle with the demon Mara. Okay? Mara sends his beautiful daughters to encourage the Buddha to lust. Okay? He sends his demon army, they're armed with arrows and spears, to encourage the Buddha to develop hatred or aversion. And the Buddha doesn't do either one of these things. He works through these different trials easily. And then the third thing that Mara asked the Buddha to do is to present a witness that he's enlightened. He's sort of questioning his confidence, suggesting that he's not really wise. And what the Buddha does is he touches the earth. He says, the earth is my witness. So what I think he's doing there is I think he is showing his connection to the earth. He is showing, he's dealing with the idea of no self and emptiness. When we did our early morning chant today, we talked about the Heart Sutra. A lot of people will say that's a difficult chant to understand because we say there's no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mouth. What does that mean? Well, what it means is that those things don't exist by themselves. They have no permanent existence. So the eye can't exist without the body that uses it. It wouldn't come into being without the world that caused it to come into birth so that it can see. If we didn't have a world that we could see, we wouldn't need eyes. The same with the ear, the nose, the mouth, the mind. These all develop because of things, causes, and conditions going on outside of the body. So part of the idea of no self is that we don't exist without this world. We couldn't exist without our connection with the world. Another way to think about this is to think about, we think of our body as ourself. If you have a surgery and some part of your body is removed, is part of yourself removed with that surgery? If someone has, in my own experience, if someone has dementia and they start to forget the people they know, they start to forget who they are, they start to forget their own history, are they no longer that person? So there's some sense of self that must be changing and is impermanent and exists beyond just what we think of as our body. So my next example comes from the teaching that the Buddha gave to his son Rahula. So after he became enlightened, he did decide to return to his home. And I think that's when in Thich Nhat Hanh's story, part of that is reconciliation with his family that he left. And as part of that story, his son, who is now 6 or 7 years old, becomes a monk, becomes the youngest monk. And his name is Rahula. So in one of the teachings that the Buddha gives to him, he talks to him about how the world, nature, can be an inspiration to practice. This is what he says. Learn from the earth. Whether people scatter pure and fragrant flowers, perfume, or fresh milk on it, or discard filthy and foul-smelling feces, urine, blood, mucus, or spit on it, the earth receives it all equally, without clinging or aversion. When pleasant or unpleasant thoughts arise, don't let them entangle or enslave you. So the idea here is that we can look at the earth, and we can look at, how we can cultivate the earth, to grow flowers, or we can put our trash onto the earth and try to compost it. But the earth doesn't really respond to that either way. It just takes everything and kind of utilizes it, transforms it. And we ourselves can also use wisdom to transform the 3 poisons. So in this story, he talks about the earth not having aversion to negative things placed on it like feces or urine, and it also doesn't cling to positive things like flowers. Okay? So the way we can apply our wisdom to the 3 poisons, which are this idea of craving and clinging and ignorance, is to actually look at them through the 3 marks of existence. And I mentioned those in the beginning. The marks of existence are suffering, impermanence, and no self. Okay? So if we think about the first thing, things that are positive, things that we might crave after, we might have lust for. If we remember that those things are impermanent, that those things aren't going to last, that can help us to moderate that desire, to realize that even if we get what we want, it's not going to last, it's impermanent. So we won't hold on to it quite as tightly. If we think about things that we're averse to, things that we hate, we can think of those things also as impermanent. Even though it's going on right now, it's really uncomfortable, it's not going to last forever. It's going to end. Everything is changing. We can think about suffering in relationship to those two things, because suffering is involved. We kind of feel suffering when we lust at something very strongly, we don't get what we want. And also we suffer when we're feeling aversion towards things. And this is just a reminder that that's how life is. We always have some type of low-level stress or suffering going on. It's just whether or not we're able to ignore it or we think it's a big problem. And then the last one, no self. If we can remember that we are intricately connected with those things that we lust after or desire, that we already are a part of them, then we can also realize that we don't really need to possess them. We are already connected on a basic level to them. And with those things we hate, we are also connected with those things too. So thinking about our relationship with those things can help us reduce that aversion to those things. The Buddha goes on in this story, and he gives a couple more examples. He says, learn from the water. When people wash dirty things in it, the water is not sad or disdainful. Learn from fire. Fire burns all things without discrimination. It is not ashamed to burn pure or impure substances. Learn from the air. The air carries all fragrances, whether sweet or foul. So the idea here is that everything in our world is really a teacher for our practice. The ground that we walk on, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink and bathe on and wash things with, the fire that we cook with. All those things, when we're interacting with those elements, we can realize that we can learn from those things. They can teach us how to use impure and impure substances. They can help us learn how to take the three poisons and transform them using the three marks of existence. So the last thing I want to leave you with are some quotes from the Foregrounds of Mindfulness. And these relate directly to our meditation practice. We don't talk a lot about joy and happiness, I don't think, during meditation. A meditation can be thought of as sort of like brushing your teeth or eating your vegetables. You have to do it. Your parents say you have to do it, but you don't really enjoy it. It's healthy for you, but you don't really want to do it. So we're all telling you, oh, you need to go home and meditate. And you're like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to do it, but it's so boring. Okay. So this is from a translation from Thich Nhat Hanh. And this is part of the Foregrounds of Mindfulness Sutra. This is in the first part of the sutra talking about mindfulness of body as body. Further, bhikkhus, a practitioner who is aware of body as body feels the joy which arises during concentration saturate every part of their body. There is no part of this body which this feeling of joy born during concentration does not reach. Like a spring within a mountain, whose clear water flows out and down all sides of that mountain, and bubbles up in places where the water has not previously entered, saturating the entire mountain. In the same way, joy, born during concentration, permeates the whole of the practitioner's body. It is present everywhere. This is how the practitioner is aware of body as body, both inside the body and outside the body, and establishes mindfulness in the body with recognition, insight, clarity, and realization. This is called being aware of body as body. Further, bhikkhus, a practitioner who is aware of body as body experiences a feeling of happiness, which arises with the disappearance of the feeling of joy and permeates their whole body. This feeling of happiness, which arises with the disappearance of the feeling of joy, reaches every part of this body. Just as the different species of the blue, pink, red, and white lotus, which grow up from the bottom of a pond of clear water and appear on the surface of that pond, have their tap roots, subsidiary roots, leaves, and flowers, all full of the water of that pond, and there's no part of the plant which does not contain the water. So the feelings of happiness, which arise with the disappearance of joy, permeates the whole of the practitioner's body, and there is no part which does not penetrate. This is how the practitioner is aware of body as body, both inside the body and outside the body, and establishes mindfulness in the body with recognition, insight, clarity, and realization. And that is called being aware of body as body. So even though we don't talk about it often, these examples make it clear that experiencing joy and happiness has always been part of meditation experience. And the way to kind of cultivate this is another way that we can work with the 3 poisons. So when we're in our meditation practice and we're sitting and we start to feel these pleasant sensations, the first thing you should do is to give them away, okay? So this is how you overcome lust or clinging. You feel something good and you let it go. You don't try and increase it. Just let it go. It will increase on its own. The second thing you do is you don't just release it, but you actually send it out to other beings, okay? So here in this way, and not just any being, not just the people you like, but all beings. So in this way, you can overcome hate or aversion. You're taking these good feelings, you're not holding on to them, and you're letting them go, and you're sending them out to everyone in the world, even people you dislike. Okay? And then the third part of the 3 marks of the 3 poisons, the idea of, the third part of, ignorance, the way you're getting through over ignorance is by recognizing no self. You're recognizing that the reason you're giving away these feelings to everyone else is because you are everyone else. You are intricately connected to everyone else. So when you're giving these feelings to everyone else, you're giving them to yourself as well. And that will help you to increase these pleasant feelings during your meditation. So when we're sitting here today, I just encourage you to think about that. Go ahead and put yourself in a good sitting posture. If you can fold your legs up in front of yourself. If you're sitting in a chair, just put your feet flat on the ground. Try and sit with a straight back. Put your hands in your lap. Right hand inside your left hand, thumbs lightly touching. Pull your hands up against your stomach, below your belly button. Sit your back up nice and straight. Pull your chest up a little, tuck your chin in. You can have your eyes open or closed. If you're feeling drowsy, keep your eyes open. If you're feeling really restless, you might close them or maybe hold them almost closed, look down at an angle in front of you. And just be aware of your breathing. If you want to count your breath as a way of maintaining your concentration, you can start with 5 and breathe in, breathe out, say 5, 4, 3, all the way down to 1, and then return. Or you can just be aware of your breath. As you're aware of your breath and the rest of your body, if you start to feel positive feelings, let those feelings go. Send those feelings out to all beings. And just bring yourself back to your awareness of the present moment. So I just wanted to add a couple things to that. So not only during your meditation, but any time in your life when you're having a really good time, you can be aware of that and think about how you might, in your mind, share that feeling, that positive feeling with others, no matter what you're doing. That's another way to kind of combat that poison, those 3 poisons. And then the other part of that is if you're doing meditation, and it's not comfortable, like you're uncomfortable, you can think about other people who are experiencing suffering and empathize with them in your mind. Like, oh, I feel really uncomfortable, my legs are really sore. What about all those other people who are feeling discomfort and feeling sore right now in the world? And you can mentally take that on. You know, oh, I'm going to take on this feeling of discomfort so they will have less of it. And that's another way, it's kind of like maybe a harder way, but another way to kind of utilize that practice in your meditation. So if you're having a really good sit or a really bad sit, they both can be really good sits because you can both transform them using those ideas. Thank you. So the next part of our service is joys and concerns. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So the joys and concerns is a opportunity for us to practice bodhicitta, awakened heart. And usually there's 4 traditional ways to invoke bodhicitta. And these are called invoking loving kindness, which is basically wishing others to have happiness, which we talked about. Second one is compassion, wishing others to have their suffering relieved. And then the third one is sympathetic joy, our ability to share in the joys of others as if they were our own. So, another way we can think about this practice, we see someone else having a really good time, we can mentally share in that happiness, right? And then the fourth one is equanimity, which is just this idea that life has suffering, it has impermanence and no self. These are all parts of life. And all beings like ourselves are responding to causes and conditions. They're responding to karma. And all beings like ourselves are seeking happiness and to avoid suffering. So keeping those thoughts in our mind can help us be more even when we encounter things in life that are troubling to us or things that are really exciting, really good for us. Either way, just sort of being more mellow with those experiences so that we don't become overwhelmed by them. So this is an opportunity for you and the Sangha to share any joys or concerns that you have. Just raise your hand and we will have a volunteer bring a mic to you. And thank you.
I would like to send out some real strong vibes to our young Sangha member, Ben, who went through another chemo session last week, and we're rooting for him.
I'm going to share one of our Dharma teacher interns, Chango Su Ashton Shaw, texted us this morning. His sister-in-law is having some really difficult health problems, just sort of emergency health problems. He was planning to be here today, but he couldn't be here because he had to go to the hospital for that. So just keeping him in our thoughts.
I wanted to express some gratitude. So I got this really cool opportunity. I've actually gotten 2 really cool opportunities over the past 6 months to get more involved in the music industry. And I've met a lot of really, really cool people, and I've been exposed to a lot of cool experiences because of these opportunities, and I'm very thankful. And then another thing, completely off topic, my brother just got back from India from a 3-month soul-searching journey, whole thing. He got his yoga license. He's an instructor now, and he got it. He went to northern India. It was super cool. So he got back home safely last week, so that's really cool. And I get to see him next week, so I'm excited to hear about what he's learned. So that's all. That's all.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jun Su, or Shane. I'm grateful to be here after a few months. It's a lot of work, some joys from work. I saved someone's life, in a sense. I found a critical defect in one of our products, as I'm a quality person. And I got to see the eclipse totality, which was really cool. And I got to chant the morning bell chant, which I haven't chanted in a while, and that felt really good. So thank you.
My name is Craig. I'm really grateful to be here. I have a sorrow I'll share in the hopes of you opening your hearts to compassion for this one particular friend. I'm in recovery, so I have a lot of friends in and out of addiction. But there's one particular person like I really care about, and there's really nothing I can do for him right now. And he's certainly struggling. And so I'd be really grateful if you guys could open your heart of compassion, maybe happy, maybe healthy, maybe free from harm. Thank you for holding the space for him.
Any online? We have one.
So Amy says, I wanted to share that my relationship with my mom has been very strained lately, and I've found that it's been an excellent opportunity for me to practice loving kindness and just meeting people where they're at.
I'll share a joy. Last weekend I was out of town. We went and saw I have two daughters. One's in both are in college, and we went to see the one in Ann Arbor, and it was really nice. And then we came home. We got to see my other daughter who was living in Lansing. She actually came home, so we got to see her too. So that was nice. And next Friday we'll be picking her up from school, so she'll be home for the summer with us, which should be cool, different. She was at her first year of college, just finished. So yeah, thank you. Okay. We'll give some temple-related announcements. Got 'em here. The Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple Board meeting is today from 1 to 2 o'clock. We have, if you're interested in observing that, your visitors are welcome for that. We have an online meditation group on Wednesdays from 7 to 7:45. The link is on our webpage. And if you can just contact me if you're interested. We have a Thursday Dharma discussion group, Thursdays from 9:30 to 11. And Reverend Jingsu there. You can talk to him if you have more questions about that. We also have an Avatamsaka Sutra study group that just started. I think that Thursday of this week was the first day, and that's from 7 to 9 p.m. at the temple. I think they're working on creating it so you can also join virtually. We have a spring silent retreat next Saturday here at the temple from 8 to 5. There's more information in the newsletter. Really encourage you to attend. If you can't attend for the whole day, you're welcome to attend for half the day. You could come in the morning and leave at lunchtime, or come at lunchtime and leave leave at 5. But it's really a great experience. It's a chance just to practice sitting meditation and walking meditation all day. We provide a variety of services. We do the Lojong service during that retreat. We have a Soto chant service during the retreat, some guided meditation. So some chants that we don't usually chant during our Sunday service, so you get some exposure, some different things. We have a Buddhist-based recovery meeting Monday from 6:30. It starts at 6:30. There starts at meditation, then 7 o'clock is the meeting. That's at the temple. There's also meetings at 6:30 at the Allen Oak Club on Wednesday. And Friday, there's a meeting at the temple as well at 10:05 for meditation, and 10:30 this meeting starts. Do we have a Donna announcement today? Thank you.
In our practice, the word Dharma means generosity, and that comes in all shapes and sizes. Like Kunga said earlier, certainly one a donation is donation of your time. If you'd like to volunteer of any of the jobs that Kunga talked about, please contact somebody great. Also, of course, there's the financial donation, and that's what keeps the lights on here at Temple, and we certainly appreciate anything that you can do. We do have Donna boxes at both ends of the Dharma hall. Each one, and it'll say cash or tip. Each one also has a QR code, which will take you directly to PayPal. You can go to our website, zengr.org, and look for the donate button there. And lastly, if you're watching today on YouTube, there's also a drop-down menu with, once again, through PayPal. So we appreciate whatever you can do for us. Thank you.
So just a couple of reminders about straightening up when we leave today. Please place your cushion in the center of your mat, fluff it up so it looks neat. Straighten your mat so it looks arranged with the other ones around it. Put your incense gatha in the front of the chant book and just leave the chant book on the front of the cushion, or if you see someone who's collecting them, you can give them to them also. And there will be a brief time for tea before we have our meetings today, so from 11 to 11:30, if you want, invite you to join us downstairs for tea. We have one more announcement.
Thank you. Just two things. One of our Sangha members was ill outside the door, so just be aware of that. We'll clean it up, but just wanted you to be aware. And then secondly, in honor of Earth Day tomorrow, a number of us are getting together here at 10 o'clock with lots of tools to clean around the temple and make it more beautiful or beautiful. So if any of you want to join us, bring gloves and talk to me. Gail. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else to say? Let's please stand and we'll do our closing gathas. I invite everyone to face towards the center, and we'll bow to each other. Thank you so much.